Hello and welcome to our very first edition of Airdrie Inside. My name is Chris Glass. I've been living here since 2006, and this has been my home for a very long time. I wanted to start this podcast to tell some stories here in Airdrie that may not get the time that they need or the depth that they need. So I want to make sure that we're highlighting people in Airdrie that I admire and people that I think provide a lot to our community. This show is brought to you by a couple of sponsors, but our very first show is brought to you by the Pest Control Guy. So if those of you who have not used the Pest Control Guy, he's one of the best guys in Airdrie, a guy named Antoine. His son played on my football team. I use him every summer to make sure my balcony is spider-free, and they're always great with their service. So check out the Pest Control Guy, and thank you for your support. On my very first show, I have a very first guest. Mike, welcome to Airdrie Inside.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting. Thanks for helping get the word out for us.
I wanted you to be the first guest because you were the winner of the Mr. Airdrie Award last year in honor of a friend of yours, Keith Wilkinson. And it was an award that I thought was very well deserved because I end up seeing you helping whenever there's a chance to help. And you're helping in many different ways make our community better. So I wanted people in Airdrie to get to know you a little bit better and to tell a little bit about your stories. So what brought you to Airdrie? Were you born in Airdrie or are you a transplant like myself?
Well, thanks for the mentioning and having me as first guest. It's an honor. I'm not quite born and raised in Airdrie, but I've been here in the area for going on 36 years now. So I'm firmly rooted in here now with my wife and 5 kids. We have no plans going anywhere. I have a big desire of making Airdrie a better place than when I first got to it. I'm just helping anybody that needs help. I'm trying to be that example of be who you needed when you're younger.
Right. And when you moved to Airdrie, what brought you here? Was it like I personally moved here because it was cheaper than Calgary, and I never left. I never started looking at Calgary again or anything like that. What about yourself?
My family was looking for a small town living. We were living in North Calgary. A little busy. My parents were from a farm outside of Wetaskiwin, so they wanted something close to that kind of lifestyle. So I grew up on acreage between Balzac and Airdrie. So yeah, just something where me and my brothers, we embraced it as much as we weren't as close to our friends as we were. I just can't go ride my bike down the street to go see my friends, but we made our own fun around the acreage and, with our neighbors and just enjoyed, the outdoors and made our own fun. Like, there was no social media, there was no video games and, arcades and whatnot sort of thing. And we had chores and allowances had to be done. And so my parents moved out to Balzac and then I went to school. First school was in George Mack Junior High. And yeah, there was a junior high at that time, going way back. And then went to Birchurch for high school after that and graduated in 1994. So I'm dating myself here, so.
I won't hold the Birchurch Chargers against you. As a lot of people know, I'm the longtime head coach over at George MacDougall High School, so a little bit of a rivalry there, but it seems like you had your foot in both sides, so that's okay. I can give you a pass then.
Yeah. No, we played against George Mack the first year, so it was a bit of a fun time for both schools, but, Birchurch came up on top, so I know it's a bit of a struggle for, to maintain that over the years, but, I'm happy for both, actually all the high schools in Airdrie now that's doing really well. So it's got good programs and it's come a long ways in the last 30 plus years.
Now, speaking of high schools in Airdrie, you're involved in what I think is one of the best nonprofits I've heard of in a long time. Reason why I say that is because there's a great sightline to money or donations to somebody who's actually using it. You can actually see that line of sight the whole way through. So tell me a little bit about Adopt-A-Grad.
Adopt-A-Grad, the idea came to me about 2016. A single mom in Airdrie who I didn't really know. I was nowhere near as active in social media in Airdrie at that time, but Airdrie Dad was just fairly new. So they reached out to me asking if I had a suit for her son. And I'm like, I don't even own a suit. But there's Airdrie Dad. Let me put a call on Airdrie Dad. And then I think within 2 days, we raised, $500 for this young man. So we took him shopping in Moores and Sandwich Mall. It was kind of cool to see. He wasn't sure what to expect, get you a couple suits. And I told a story at the manager of Moores at the time, and they were able to give us a discount on suits. So The young man was able to buy 2 brand new suits, custom fitted, dress shirt, tie, and a couple socks. That was the start of it. And so since then, that young man has enlisted in the Army now. So he's based in Edmonton Garrison now.
Wow.
So I can't ask him to pay it any forward and serve our country in a great way that he's had been so far since graduating.
Right.
Fast forward 2017, I was working up north. I couldn't really do that. My wheels were always turning, right? Because I wanted that we have that repeat moment, of proud moment where I can actually give something for a student that's in need. 2018, I started collecting bottles for suits and just putting out the call on every dads and I'm thinking 4 months of me going to people's house and pick up the bottles and or people dropping them off. And I think I raised $7,600 worth of bottles the first time.
Wow.
And so of course media got hold of it, so that really got the word out. And then so we were able to gift that first year 16 students with gift cards from Tip Top Tailor to have a custom fitted suit for grad. And we helped provide a limo ride, haircuts, and boutonnieres and corsages for their dates as well. So that's where it came from. So we branched off now to Adopt a Grad to include ladies now, where we have the formal wear program. So
Right. So, how many students are taking advantage of what Adopt Grad has to offer right now?
right now, as of last year, we had probably helped over 250 students directly and indirectly, whether it's a formal wear program or just helping with some funds. We've gone far south as a Siksika Reserve as well. Helped some
Wow.
young men out there. There's an outreach school. They've reached out to us for the last several years now. For these guys, they had to live life, so they're not able to graduate on time. Whether they whatever issues they might have come across. So now they get to the point where they get to graduate, but they come out to the formal wear event that we have every year where they come on try on used suits. And most of these people never even put on a suit before.
Right.
So it's brand new for them. They're all coming in like, kids in the playground. They're like, eyes wide open and they don't know what to look for. And I'm helping them and they find a suit that fits. And the next step is finding a tie. Well, not a single one of them knew how to tie a tie. So, and to show them a trick, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is easy." And then walking out of the event with a suit that they're proud of, and then taking it back home and showing their friends and family that the Adopt a Grad would able to help them out, and then they get to look good for their grad night, their special night that they've worked hard to get to. So that's another moment that I would like to bring up.
Now, can you tell me, like, I have an idea back to when I graduated and how important it was for me to look the part and to really celebrate that. Can you talk to me about, from your experience, why it's so important and what it means to these kids to fit in and to be a part of that program?
Well, they've gone to school for 12 plus years. They've worked hard, and they formed friendship that lasts a lifetime, and they get
Right.
experiences that will be lasting a lifetime. And for them to miss out on that one night, on the account of they can't afford their grad fees or a suit, or even a rental suit. Renting a suit is pretty expensive now, so
Yeah.
um, for them to miss out on a night with their friends and family on that account, to me, I don't want them missing out on that milestone because of that. So that's when Dr. Grad comes in, trying to remove that barrier of the cost of the grad, because you got your grad fees, you got your school fees, then you got your cap and gown fees, and you got your banquet
Right.
tickets on top of that, right? And some families can't afford that, and some families aren't. And so to work 12 years and to get to that point in your high school career and to graduate, we want to make it easier for them to not worry about that and be able to enjoy that night with their friends and family and help with that next step in their chapter where if they're gifted a suit, they can use that beyond that, so they can use it for weddings, job interviews, whatnot. It's not a gift from me, it's a gift from the community, and they have that in the back of their mind. And a lot of time it shaped the way they think about the future for them.
Right. Having somebody believe in them and having the community believe in them goes a long way.
It does. It does. One of my favorite stories is a young man, one of your football players, Reed, working a full time job, and then George Mac brought him on, but he had to work a full-time job to pay for the gas to come to and from. And so when I gifted him that gift card for the suit and a haircut, that smile on that kid's face just like blew me away, right? And I've only talked to him for like 5 minutes. He wasn't asking for a handshake. He was asking for a hug, right? I was like, anytime. And he's been a good big brother, and I know he's been a good mentor for siblings and whatnot. And,
Yeah.
I think that was a turning point for him to realize, hey, somebody does care about me and where I'm going in the future and whatnot. So
This wasn't pre-planned that you brought up one of my favorite families and one of my favorite players that I've ever worked with. So thank you for bringing up Reed. Reed, if you're listening, I'm always proud of you, and I'm still looking forward to the times you come and visit. So Mike, question here from the school's point of view: how can they engage Adopt a Grad? Because I imagine a student who can't afford something doesn't just stick up their hand and say, hey, my family's in financial difficulties, we can't afford this. It's hard for them to self-identify. So how are you normally approached or engaged?
I reached out to the school faculty because they're the one working with the student mostly closely. They're able to identify the student that may be struggling, that they're not paying their school fees or just maybe kind of falling through the cracks a bit. So I'm grateful for the partnership that we have with the schools. They have no issues putting me in touch with the parents and getting in touch with the students and let them know that we're there to help them, trying to remove some of the burden of the costs of the school fees and whatnot. So most of the time, the school faculties know the students that need the help, but there are some students that aren't willing to come forward either. But some of their peers would engage with the school leadership as well, the counselors and teachers, and then they reach out to the leadership and they come out to me as well. So we've had a pretty good success ratio as far as reaching out to the students that may be needing help. It was something that trying to figure out a way to approach, the subject, right, without embarrassing sort of thing. Without it's not a help, it's a gift, right? So when I
Yeah.
phrase it that way or frame it that way, the parent are more accepting of that help, right? The gift sort of thing. And so they're more willing to accept the gift and, whether it's a suit or a dress and haircut, whatnot. And they're more appreciative of that and they're more grateful. And that means that we're hitting the right people in the program and the program's getting out there and the right people are getting the benefit from it.
Now, what kind of goals have you set for Adopt a Grad?
Well, we've been applying for a charity status, but that's a long process with the government, CRA, and whatnot. In the meantime, we're a registered nonprofit, so we're trying to make sure that we continue to not turn anybody away from our program. Because to date, we haven't turned anybody away in the last 6 years, so that's our proud achievement. So long term, we get a charity status so we can get more donations and offer tax receipts and whatnot. Our supporters have been gracious enough to support us and not worry about tax receipts. So long term, getting charity status and branch across the country maybe, because as far as I know, last I checked, we're the only program of its kind in Canada right now. Yeah, there's some grad program assistance and things, but there's nothing that's offering a free gifted suit to carry forward and pay their grad fees. So long term, just trying to go across national, be a lot of work, but make sure nobody's
Right.
left behind.
Once again, Airdrie leading the way there. I gotta love that story.
I've had people reach out from Halifax, Toronto, Quebec, and see if
Right.
I can help them out there. That's when you got to say no at the time, but hopefully in the future we'll get out there and make sure that nobody's out in the cold, so to speak.
Well, that's the power of having an idea that's so direct, right? Like you can see when you offer help, you can see it right away and you can see the result. I mean, there's a lot of really good charities out there where you could donate money, but you never really see the end result of it. It's a valuable thing to donate money to, but it's
Yeah,
hard to see that sight line to where it goes. And in this
yeah.
case, seeing young men and women walking across the stage, looking good, graduating, and becoming productive members of society is right there with that. How can people help?
We're always looking for sponsorship partnerships, so they can reach out to on our website, adoptagrad.ca. There's a couple links on there you can click on there to support us. They can reach out to myself on social media. Our email address is at admin@adoptagrad.ca. They can reach out to on that. Financially, they can do that, e-transfers, or they can just donate money. Suit-wise, they can donate the suit all year round. We have a great partnership with Stevens Cleaners and Airdrie. They
Right.
handle all of our donations on our behalf. Stevens Cleaners in Cooper's Promenade, so you can drop off your dress and suits there, and they'll take the donation on our behalf and get it ready for us, to put on display for the graduates.
That's great. Now, since I've got to know you a little bit, and pretty much everybody says this, is you're one of the most humble guys in the city. So I'm going to pick on you a little bit because this isn't all you do, right? So starting a nonprofit and having an effect on young men and women in high school isn't just the only way you give back to the city. So I want to talk about 100 Men and Give a Damn, and if you can talk about your involvement there as well.
Well, I'm just one of the supporters. I try to attend those meetings. That's just one of the other ways that I can be part of a collective group
Right.
that gives back to the community, with the $100 donations every quarter. So, much as I give my time, the $100 goes a long way between myself and 99, 100 men, 99 men
Sometimes more.
yeah, sometimes more, which is great to see. So I'm always a fan of that, just where 'cause it's not about me, it's everybody, a group and that comes in together and that sort of thing. So that's one thing that I don't really have my hand in, sort of thing, because Keith and the board members of the 100 Men, they're great of getting the word out and getting the charities that need to be presenting. You and I both had a chance to present at the 100 Men, and I think we both came on top. And there's never any losers, sort of thing. There's no winners. There's
Right.
always a successful participant, sort of thing. So that I'm proud to be that group. And so, yeah, where everybody comes together and make a collective effort. And it's less effort on my part. I just put the check for $100 every quarter, sort of thing. So, but I get to see the magic happen from making that vote, and as you know, and so, yeah, 100 Men is a great organization, and I'm glad they're around, and I'm glad to be part of one of the groups there.
And I believe they were one of your early supporters with Adopt a Grad.
Yes, they were. I think we were the first non-charity, what do you call it, licensed charity, whatever I think it was, to get the gift of the $10,000 check. And we had two other great presenters, and with the Turf Project, sort of thing. But yeah, so that check helped us a lot. So that kind of set to, could we operate on a zero budget every year. So
Right.
from the start of the school year, we zero budget, and to the end of the year. So we spend every cent that we get in, and anything left over, we pay for our storage fees and what sort of things. So that was a huge injection for, at that time, with Project Jack and Chill. And now
Right.
and then that's when we rebranded to Adopt a Grad to be more inclusive. So kind of a naming convention based on the charity application that we put forward. But yeah, just 100 Men, just one of it. And I think I made myself and a few men cry in that room presenting, telling the stories of one of the parents, and I get emotional thinking about that story every time. And it's just, you say that I'm a humble guy, but it's also,
I'm right there with you.
yeah. So
It was funny because I was the second presenter after you,
mhm.
and I had a really good PowerPoint. I had great talking points, how the Field Turf Project was going to change Airdrie's tourism and do all these things. And then you get up and speak, and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm going, oh man, I wouldn't vote for me after this guy.
Yeah,
And I think that's where we first actually had a real conversation, and
yeah, yeah,
I got to see your true love for this city. Uh,
yeah.
one of the other things that I've seen you do time and time again is use the power of that Airdrie Dads group on Facebook to not only bring men together and give people a place to talk and to kind of relax, but you've actually used that large group of focused people to lift up members of the community. So how did that start? How did it become from a Facebook group to actually a bit of an advocacy group?
It's just it. It's just a group of people. The one thing we all have in common, we're all parents.
Yeah.
We're all dads, and we all have a desire to make our community a better place. And rather than using it as a tool to rally the troops, so to speak, use our numbers in strength and just to help the community, whether the early first fundraiser that we do every Christmas, helping family in need, tragedy or a house fire sort of thing. Um, it's been an easy, it's been easy enough process for me to get the guys going. And then I get one guy to message me and I get the ball going and just kind of snowballs and snowballs. And it's a lot of work, but I really
Yeah.
enjoy it because I get to see everybody come together, receiving dozens of messages and emails. And then we put stuff up for auction in our Facebook group and people bidding more than what the value of the item is. And they're spending that money and raising that money and doing it very quickly. And seeing the group in a few years ago when we had the 80 ass tattoo with Wayne Lodge raising 20 grand
Right.
in such a short period of time. And so I wanted to keep that momentum, and the group that we do, we may not agree on everything, but we do agree on making the community a better place for us. And what better place to start with Airdrie Dads? And, Airdrie Dads, I think we're the longest standing Facebook group in Airdrie. If, as how many pages there are of everything. And I just love the collaboration of the businesses. Could be a lot of business owners in there
Right.
and just people that can't really give a lot of money, but they'll give a time and helping out with any little thing. So when I do the Airdrie Dad barbecue at Balzac Brewery, just it's a thank you to the community. Hey, we want to thank you as a group. Thank you for supporting our group. Have a hot dog and a pop, whatnot, sort of thing. And so grateful for sponsors for that. So I'm always trying to find different ways to kind of get the group together. So last year we had the challenge coins and then the ball marker for the golf tournament. So I'm always trying to find different ways to give back to the group and something that the group can enjoy. Last year we had the poker tournament that was very successful, and people have not stopped messaging me about golf poker tournament. And I'm like, I got you. I'll work on it, sort of thing.
Now an annual event.
Yeah. They want to make an annual, and they want to make it more than annual, sort of thing, which is good. But it's I gotta learn to start saying no at some time, right? So, and it's one of those things that's fun, and I love seeing the guys get together, and that's something we really haven't done since COVID, right? So COVID really kind of kept people apart, and I'm trying to bring that gap a little closer, and get to know put a face to the name, rather just who the other admins are, who's the actual active group members like yourself and
Right.
whatnot, getting out there in the community, and it's not just the same 50 guys in the group and whatnot. So trying to involve everybody, and people that just recently joined the group, they find out what we do and they're like, how can I help? And then it's like, it's really cool because they see some posts, or they get brought up again and they, hey, what's this about? And I tell them about it, like, hey, I'll buy a hat, the 80s swag and stickers and whatnot. So those stickers that we sell, and it gives back to community, right? So we're raising money to find ways to give back to community people that need it. So whether it's clothing, food, whatnot, we just want to make sure that we're looking after one another.
Now, is there any running total, or do you have an estimate of how much money Airdrie Dads has raised since its inception, or at least since your involvement?
Not including the golf tournaments, and I say we're well in the hundreds of $1,000s. So with the original admin group that we had with the Airdrie Lioness, where we did the 20,000 ass tattoo, then indirectly with the 100 man and adopt a grad. Yeah, we're with the golf tournament. If you want to add the golf tournament, I'd say we're probably about $500,000. So over the last 10 years.
$500,000 in 10 years from a Facebook group of a bunch of dads just trying to help.
That's
pretty.
That directly and indirectly, right? So,
Yeah.
I like to say Airdrie Dad has some sort of fingerprint in some things in Airdrie in some way in form, whether it's
Right.
business owners, sponsors, whatnot. A lot of businesses support the group, right? And they're very grateful for what we do in the community, right? So, and we try to return the favor by supporting that business as well.
One question I have for you, I know there's a lot of people who want to get involved or they have great ideas. Do you have any advice, community advocates, people who want to do something? Because you seem to be somebody who doesn't let being hard stop you from doing something, right? Like
Right.
Adopt a Grad wasn't easy, but you still plowed through with it. So what advice do you have for people who are listening to this and go, I have an idea to help out the community. I just don't know where to start.
Yeah, just getting the word out is key, and doing it in a creative way where people could remember about that, right?
Right.
Like the first grad student that got the suit, me posting about that and sharing that story going, right? And having that impact. So if you can show something that's very grassroots, I think anything that's initiative wise is very grassroots does
Right.
well in Airdrie because that's the type of Airdrie it is. Because like you say, you can see the stream of where the money's going right away. You can see where the funding, like you can see the results in real time. That's the nice thing about the 100 men. The successful participant, they come the following quarter and they show, they tell us what they did with the money and whatnot, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just getting the word out there and diving in with both feet and not let off on the throttle, right? Because if you let off the throttle, you lose that momentum in a hurry and people forget, right? So just getting out there and utilize the social media as a tool, right? So you got the numbers in there. If you find something, you're always going to find something we relate to, right? So
Right.
whether it's football or the grad, 100 men, whatever resonates with you, and it's going to resonate with somebody else as well.
Well, Mike, Airdrie is a better place because you and Lori are living here, and I really appreciate all you do. I really appreciate you being my very first guest on Airdrie Inside. I couldn't think of a better person to have on the pod to introduce exactly the concept that I want to do. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Well, thank you for having me this morning. I'm looking forward to see what great things this Airdrie Inside would bring. And thanks for helping getting the word about Dr. Grad and Airdrie Dads, and looking forward to it. So again, thank you for having me as your first guest. It's such an honor. So yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we'll be back with another great episode next week.